Good morning. This is the fourth section of the workshop on a framework for video games using Unity. And today we will talk about the input management. Obviously, all video games need to track user input, and Unity provides a powerful tool to define entries, the input manager. In this section, we will not reinvent the wheel. The input manager works perfectly, but we can add functionality to it. The first thing the input assistant does is to perform the tracking entries task. Once we indicate that an input must be monitored, the input assistant will perform the task continuously. The second task will be to control the delay between readings of the axes, buttons and keys, so we can very easily set the response speed of the controls of a video game. But what changes dramatically with the assistant is the way you think about the inputs. Normally, our scripts read the entries at a particular time. If you use the assistant, it will be responsible for calling our code when its status is updated. And this is achieved through the subscription of events. I recommend you to review the issue of delegates and events of C# language. Using the assistant, you can synchronize inputs for several scripts receiving data at once. A clear example can be a game where the player feels a minefield to be detonated by pressing a button. In a traditional programming way, the player controller script will check the input, and if the button is pressed, the script will call all mine scripts to explode. With the assistant, we can link all mines to the button, as if it's pressed, the mines will explode in unison. This functionality is achieved by means of two classes, one that serves to define an input to monitor, and another used to monitor all inputs. The values returned by the entries are normalized. An axis returns values between -1 and 1, and a button will return 0 for false and 1 for true. Let's see the code. Well, first is input. These are the entries defined by input manager. We will use the same names to link the axes, and we will use key codes to link the keys of the keyboard, and we'll use mouse codes to link mouse buttons. This is the class input item. It had two enums. The first defines the input types, and the second the mouse buttons. The class has first to a key code, a mouse button, a name, the name of the axis in the input manager, the time to the next read, the input type, and the number of reads per second. Then it has several events. There are axis event, 3 button events, 3 key events, and 3 mouse button events. The clear event method clears all previous events to begin a scene with a completely clear class. The raise events checks if there is any change in the inputs, and then raises the events, if any, calling the subscribed methods. The input assistant class monitors all that inputs. The first thing is to define a signature, a delegate to the input event handler. All receive the same parameter, a value, a float value. This is the list of input items. The await method prevents the object from being destroyed when a new scene is loaded, and clears all the events of the input items. And the fixed update method calls the raise events method of all the input items. And here there are a series of subscription methods. Any method subscribes an event to an external method. In this case, the subscribe axis subscribes the axis with the name and assigns to it the handled method received as a parameter. When a scene wants to receive input, first thing is to awake the input assistant to clear all data and then begin to subscribe events. In this case, the scene subscribes 3 key events: the exit, configure, and save, and links them to the exit, configure, and save methods that are inner from this class. This, and this. They can be private, but this scene also subscribes events from another script, player controller. Subscribes the horizontal axis with the horizontal moving method and subscribes the vertical axis with the serve method. In this case, the methods must be static for we can link it. And that's all. This completes this section. Please find the code in the repository. In the next section, we will see sound effects management. Don't forget to visit my website www.el-profe-vigo.es, where you'll find many more resources or other issues. And don't forget that my website lives of clicks. Thank you for your time.